Forever young, or am I faking? On the tip of my tongue, there's a sarcasm waiting for you. I'm willing to trade my soul for a bit of your charm. There's no way I'll fade into oblivion, 'cause I'll keep shining over you all. And if your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. There's mud on the floor, desperate people trying to get through the door, although the room's already crowded. But I'll keep shining over you all. And if your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. Zeros, everybody's trying to be heroes, when all they have to say to be okay is I don't know. And keep trying again. I'll keep shining over you all. With your wings entwining, you better face the fall. Zeros, everybody's trying to be heroes, when all they have to say to be okay is I don't know. Are you okay? I'm not that sure. Forever young, or am I faking? On the tip of my tongue, there's a sarcasm waiting for you. I'm willing to trade my soul for a bit of your charm. There's no way I'll fade into oblivion, 'cause I'll keep shining over you all. And if your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. There's mud on the floor, desperate people trying to get through the door, although the room's already crowded. But I'll keep shining over you all. And if your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. Zeros, everybody's trying to be heroes, when all they have to say to be
Hello and welcome to Pocono Raceway for the Great Lakes Racing.com 200 here at Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Here I am in the booth with Alex. Alex, how are we doing tonight?
We're doing all right. We got an interesting race here at Pocono Fields, a bit close, and we're at the Cup Series instead of the trucks this time. Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, we're going to do 80 laps around the tricky triangle, they like to call it. Pocono Raceway, a 2.5 mile triangle. All three left turns, all turns based off famous speedways and road courses across the world. The tricky triangle was repaved in 2011. This should be a blast. These Cup cars handle really well on this Pocono track, as you were mentioning, Alex.
Yeah, the Cup cars today, instead of the trucks, they're going to have a lot more horsepower, so they'll be going a lot faster into the corners. But the thing we have to worry about tonight is we're going to be watching guys have to do a lot with their front tires, as I've run some laps on their setup tonight, and it's very tight through the center of the corner. Requires a lot of lift and brake to get around these corners. So tires will be something we have to watch out for tonight.
Tires. I was overhearing they have 3 sets of tires for tonight's race over the radio. I just heard that when they were talking over the radio. But this race right here is going to be a blast. 80 laps at Pocono Raceway. And on the pole, I know Gavin would be happy about this if he was in the chat with us. He's in the race, but Scott Stewart is your pole sitter. What a lap from Mr. Scott Stewart in the number 26 machine. And then on his outside, you know him, you love him, Mr. Bobby Carter, aka Elliot Henderson.
Nathan Nicholson's behind them in the second row with Christopher Heller on his outside, our past series champion.
In row number 3 on the inside, you have Shane Neiswanger in the number 49, and on the outside you have the dog, number 23, Jacob Bransky.
Right behind them, we got our broadcast partner, Gavin Fitzgerald, running the race tonight, and beside him is the 29 Lewis Woodall.
After that, in row number 5, you have Tyler McKellen on the inside and Ty Aiken on the outside.
Right behind them, the 91 Austin Moore and Zachary Henry, who did not put down a lap in qualifying.
And ending out your field will be Nick Martin. That is your field here for Pocono Raceway. Got to go green flag racing. Scott Stewart, number 26 machine. He's going to lead him down to the green flag in that Charlotte Ford Mustang. Let's see if he can get off to a good start here. 80 laps. Elliot Henderson on his high side. Can Henderson stick there? Question is, what is the strategy here? Do you want to get yourself in that good track position earlier? Or do you want to save your tires? Here comes the pace truck. He's going to pull down pit road, and the green flag is out here at Pocono Raceway, and Scott Stewart leads him down.
Already, Elliot Henderson slots into the inside lane, but they're slowly moving their way up the racetrack. Too wide for the third row in the back. Elliot Henderson dives low to the inside. He's going to be looking for the position, trying to get that clean air, the all-crucial clean air here at Pocono.
Henderson trying to get some clean air, and him and Heller battling hard. He barely squeezes in front of Heller right there into the second spot. Heller gives him the spot for now, but now here comes Bransky. Bransky, he might try to make a move under Heller. These guys are battling pretty hard in the back, still trying to set themselves up with good track position. You see Gavin Fitzgerald up there on the high side battling Nathan Nicholson right now for what it looks like to be the 6th spot.
And Nathan Nicholson fallen back off the initial start. He's fallen back to already down to around the 6th or 7th position.
You're already fallen back to the 6th or 7th position already here at the beginning of the race. Now he's in the slot in line. You see Nathan Nicholson, the number 47, slots in line, which it looks like to be right behind the Hooters machine of Shane Neiswanger. Then back to the front, Scott Stewart has already put a little bit of a gap between himself and Elliot Henderson. So a good start of the race for Scott Stewart, but Alex was talking about tires, and that's just going to be a big thing we're going to probably be talking about for most of the race. These guys are going to need to take care of those tires So we're going to have to check back in on these two probably later and see how these tires react and see what Heller maybe does as well. And Bransky, I know Heller and Bransky have a lot of speed about anywhere we go. And Woodall's showing a good amount of speed here early in the 5th spot as well.
Oh, Lewis
Woodall.
Woodall almost got turned coming off turn 3. Gavin Fitzgerald got into his back end. Now they're 3 wide going down the front straightaway. Shane Neiswanger's looking for the position on Gavin, but isn't going to be able to get it.
Gavin's going to hang on to the spot for now, and Woodall's going to go back a couple of spots because of that. Instead, now he has Nicholson on his high side and Ty Aiken right behind him. Now Gavin and Neiswanger are going to be neck and neck coming off of turn 1, and the top 4 have already checked out from the rest of the field, who are still trying to settle in and try to get track position. You see Neiswanger and Gavin are going to take their battle to the tunnel turn.
That outside lane seems to have the advantage when you're side by side, especially through corners like that. The inside lane can't really go much of anywhere. And then when you get to the straightaway, everybody's going to be on the outside. You get the draft, while the inside lane doesn't, and Gavin's going to be able to hold them off because of that. Oh!
There's contact between Nicholson. Oh, and the number 12 is in the wall. It's Tyler McClellan. He's in the wall. Wow.
They're all saving the race cars there. Ty Aiken nearly got in the wall, and the 12 of Tyler McClellan did get into the wall, and somehow, miraculously, everybody avoided it and managed to save every single race car.
Oh, and they're wrecking.
Contact. Woodall almost gets turned. He saves again. That's 2 times he's almost gotten turned. Or 4 wide, 3 wide. Oh my gosh, chaos in the midfield. 3 wide again.
I'm not even surprised at this point. Like, I should have known that Lewis Woodall wasn't going to actually wreck. Oh my goodness, how does he do it? He does it every race, pretty much. This week driving that Apple computer Toyota. What a fantastic save off of turn 1. One of the best saves he's made this season. Wow.
He's making moves too. He's going around the outside of Zachary Henry. Lost 3 spots on that last lap, and he's coming right back to get him again. He saves a race car and starts passing people. I mean, what is with this guy? We're definitely going to have to look at a replay all the way from turn 3 to the incident in turn 1, because there was just so much that happened that time through there. That was absolutely crazy. They're going down towards turn 3. Everything seems to be going good, and as you watch as they go through turn 3, they're going to get towards the exit, and suddenly chaos is going to ensue. Nicholson is going to slide out wide in front of Ty Aiken. Ty Aiken's going to narrowly save it, but then McClellan's going to possibly get tight and get into the wall. Now they're going 2-3 wide down the front straightaway heading into turn 1. Nicholson very low on the bottom as they head down into turn 1. 3 wide into 1. Nicholson's backing off a lot. And now these two are up front, and Nick Martin just kind of overshoots the corner and gets into Lewis Woodall, but Lewis manages to save it. Again, just incredible driving from these guys out here. Progress on Lewis Woodall. He's past Ty Aiken for the position. He's moving forward. The slide didn't seem to make a difference because he's moving. He wants to catch up to these guys in the front pack. He doesn't want to get caught back here because of all the incidents they've had. They are a huge gap off the leaders. They're almost 5 seconds off the leaders, and he wants to try and close that back up. Well, it was a bit of a battle towards the front of the field. Elliot Henderson's kind of looking underneath Scott Stewart a little bit. He wasn't going to be able to do it into turn 1, but he gave it a peek. He's looking for position. Scott Stewart's gap that he pulled out at the beginning of the race is starting to diminish as Elliot starts to pull in on him. All 4 of these guys are bumper to bumper, and I imagine the action's going to come in soon. Doesn't seem to be that dirty air is as big of an issue. The higher torque and high speed of these race cars around this track allows them to go a lot faster down the straightaways. The high spoiler gives that as well. So even if you lose the time in the corners, you're going to be able to make up a lot of it down the straightaways. Unlike the trucks, the draft is massive in these cars. Then further in the back, Tyler McClellan, who was in the wall earlier, is trying to pass Nick Martin, who was in the incident with Lewis Woodall and almost turned him. He's now towards the back of the field. They're racing for the last position. But Elliot Henderson's looking low going into turn 1. Is he going to be able to get the pass? The outside lane stronger, but will he be able to hold it coming through turn 1? He seems to be able to. He's side by side, but Christopher Heller looks like he might want to... Oh, is he going to take a 3-1? No, he's going to push Elliot by Scott Stewart. Jacob Bransky's going to try and go with them as well, but he pushes him just enough. He's not exactly letting him get fully clear. He wants him to race side by side, but Scott Stewart's either going to let him by or get a little bit of an issue. Now Christopher Heller is up the inside. Jacob Bransky's now going around the outside of him, and he'll try and pass him around the outside. Got to make sure he doesn't get caught there, as we've seen plenty of incidents already of drivers getting put in the wall coming off turn 3. And as like that, Elliot Henderson to the lead, Scott Stewart to second, and Heller and Bransky third and fourth. Oh, but Christopher Heller isn't satisfied with that. He makes the pass on Scott Stewart. Is he going to be able to clear him? Yes, he will. He's going to move up in front of him. Almost got into the back of Elliot. Had to check up a little bit. That's going to give Bransky the run coming off the corner. Elliot's going to try and give him a bit of draft going down the back straightaway. But Christopher Heller's going to get the bump draft almost from Scott Stewart, and he's going to get a big run going to the tunnel turn. He's going to have to back up a little bit to make the corner. Scott Stewart way overshoots the corner. That's going to allow Bransky to get inside of him, possibly clear him. Yes, he will clear him out of the tunnel turn. Now Christopher Heller up to second, and Bransky into third. Scott Stewart's gone from pole to fourth within the last few laps. Bigger action going on in the back. Nathan Nicholson, Austin Moore racing side by side for the ninth position. Nicholson stuck on the bottom. Austin Moore is going to get the run on the outside. He's going to sneak his way up. No, he won't. McClellan's going to sneak to his outside. That's going to bring Zachary Henry to his outside as well. Nicholson's getting trained around the outside. He's going to be able to hold the line. I'm unsure. And then just in front of them, Ty Aikens just got ahead of Lewis Woodall as well. Oh, Zachary Henry's going to cross over Nicholson. That was really tight off the corner. I don't know he'll be able to hold it. Draft's just a little bit too strong, and Nicholson's going to be able to hold the position. Austin Moore pulling to the inside. Lewis Woodall, he wants the 8th position. My apologies. Lewis Woodall is going to try and hold around the outside. He's going to get a big run coming off the corner. He's going to get the assistance from Ty Aiken down the straightaway with draft. Austin Moore is going to lose the spot. Zachary Henry and Tyler McClellan still battling in the back. McClellan's going to get the spot with the draft down the back straightaway. There's a lot going on in this back pack. The leaders are being calm. Lewis Woodall now going for the position on Ty Aiken. Is he going to clear him in a 1? Looks like he will. The problem is these guys are battling, creating a lot of action. The only issue is the guys in front of them are pulling a gap. They've lost over a second the last 4 laps to the leaders. Further up front, Christopher Heller looks for the spot inside of Bransky. Bransky's actually up to second. I missed that pass. Apologies for that one. Oh, Heller almost in the wall. Scott Stewart's going to try and go inside, but he's just not going to have enough of a run to hold it on the quarter panel. Slots back into third, but Bransky's up to second now. Bransky wants the position, might want the lead as well.
All right, I'm back here. My bad. My internet was messing up, but I caught the very end of what had happened with Christopher Heller. He was inches almost clear of Elliot Henderson, almost was able to take the race lead, but wasn't quite able to jump out in front of him. And Henderson got the run on the outside, and then Bransky was able to get by him on the outside coming out of turn 1.
Wreck in the back. Lewis Woodall gets turned in the back.
Oh my
Lewis
gosh.
Woodall's wrecked on the racetrack. He might have to tow. He stopped on track, did not bring out a caution. I don't know how that was not a caution, but now he's off the track, and that'll end his night.
That's a day ender there for Lewis Woodall, driver of the Apple's Computer Toyota here tonight. Makes a lot of great saves, and unfortunately was not able to save that one. Went flying into the inside wall, and his engine went up in smoke. You hate to see it. For Mr. Woodall, was on the podium just within the last week. You're going to see a replay here. There they are coming down the front stretch. You're going to see the setup for it. You see Woodall on the outside of Ty Aiken. Oh, very hard contact right here. Whoa! Inside wall. Big time. Huge impact to the number 29. I don't know how that wasn't a caution, though, Alex.
I was surprised as well. He was stopped out on track with a blown engine. I'm surprised it didn't pull out the caution, but either way, we're still going green. It was just some really tight race, and Austin Moore comes up the track a little bit. Woodall possibly came down a little bit, and contact was made at the quarter panel. Lewis Woodall to the inside wall, then the outside wall. That'll decimate the race car. His day is done.
All I got to say is rest in peace to that blue cone. He went flying into that blue cone at full speed. Oh, man.
We've got a battle for the 5th position between Gavin Fitzgerald and Shane Neiswanger. Shane Neiswanger is looking for the spot on Gavin. He's been following him for the past 10 to 12 laps. He's finally making the move on him. Gavin's looking to hold him off. They're about 4.5, now 5 seconds off the leaders, these two. But they're only a half second off the pack right behind them, and this battling is just drawing them even closer. That's not going to help them hold these positions any better than what they're doing right now. Neiswanger, he's looking for the spot. He's just not going to have enough of a run to clear him off of turn 1.
We have a battle for the lead. It looks like Heller was able to get past Bransky in 1, was able to pull a good slide job and get in front of him, and not able to do it in the tunnel turn. Not a very good place to make a move like that. It's a very difficult pass, especially with these tires. He's going to fall all the way back to the 4th spot, and now Stewart's going to try to take away the 2nd spot, but he's not going to be able to take it from Bransky, and Henderson's loving this. Henderson's going to try to check out now. He has a decent gap.
Yeah, Christopher Heller went from 2nd all the way to 4th just from that alone. I mean, the loss of momentum he had going through the tunnel turn was a huge loss for him, and he lost a lot of positions. But, oh, God, messy in the back here around the 5th position. Gavin Fitzgerald got a huge push from Ty Aiken and Austin Moore in his back bumper. They got really squirrely going down the front straight, almost got in the wall.
Yeah, he was getting really squirrely down the front stretch, and it all started around the start-finish line. If I saw it correctly, it looked like he threw a block on the number 49 of Neiswanger, and that's what kind of started all this. And then I think Aiken gave him a push, and it got real crazy real quick there, but it seems to have calmed down already as these 6 drivers have kind of separated into 2 groups of 3 almost at this point. But Neiswanger, he's not giving up. He's been trying to battle these guys for the last couple of laps.
I've made the same mistake at Pocono once before. I've run a race here and did a lot of battling and just lost a lot of time to 3 guys who were just on their own out front running in a line. I was in a pack of 7 or 8 cars here at Pocono doing this exact thing, and we were down 12 seconds by the end of a 30-lap stint. So these guys are just hurting themselves battling like this. I know it's tempting because you get these massive runs, but sometimes you just have to settle in and try and catch the leaders. Otherwise, you'll go nowhere.
A prime example, you look at it like Christopher Heller. When Christopher Heller was able to pull those slide jobs and jump right in front of Bransky, he didn't really lose any time, but you saw what he did in the tunnel turn. He tried to get underneath Henderson. You saw how much time he had lost. And think about it with those drivers back there. They're staying neck and neck in almost every turn. So they're constantly losing time to the race leaders up here. And Gavin's trying to get that clean air right now and try to drive away from these drivers.
It's got the clean air successfully. The only problem with here's Pocono is that big spoilers, so big draft. These guys are getting massive runs into the corner, and I know it's tempting to do what Neiswanger's doing right now and just pull to the inside with your run, but that just hurts your overall group as a whole. I mean, unless you get a caution, these guys really aren't going to catch them if they keep doing this.
Yeah, they're just going to continue to lose time, and at that point, they're going to have to pull a certain type of strategy or hope on a caution flag. You're going to see Neiswanger makes a good move. He's able to get in front of Gavin. Look like Gavin maybe even got a little off the accelerator coming off the corner right there to give him the spot so these guys can get back single file.
The problem is these guys are all running different lines to get out of the dirty air, try and run some clean air. Maybe they're missing their braking points a little bit. I mean, this is not an easy setup to drive. These guys are running a setup that lacks a lot of turn to get around these corners, so it's very difficult to drive, and it creates a lot more differences between the drivers throughout the corners. And these guys, there's a big mix of them in this pack. It's why they're where they are right now, is because a lot of drivers are getting onto people's bumpers at different spots of the corners and losing time in other spots around the track.
Affirmative. You're looking at this battle right now with Nicholson. And Gavin's beginning to fall back a little bit. It looks like he's trying to stay in line, but it seems like these drivers back here just want to battle and they're trying to get themselves in good track position. But if you get yourself in good track position back here right now, you're just going to, like you said, Alex, you're just going to continue to lose time to those race leaders, because Gavin Fitzgerald right now is around 6 or 7 seconds back of our race leaders, being Elliot Henderson and Jacob Bransky.
Now, one thing I would like to bring up as we're reaching about less than 10 laps to that point is I talked to one of the groups of drivers before the race here, and it sounds like the fuel window is around 28 laps, possibly a little bit less than that. So we'll be seeing pit stops here in the next 8 or 9 laps, which, depending on how well the pit stop goes for some of these guys, can either open up the gap even more or make it really tighter between the different packs.
This is a big racetrack. Right now, these drivers are driving around 2 whole seconds off their quickest lap times of the day. So tires are going to make a big difference. And right now, they're only on lap 20. They still have a couple more laps to go until we get to lap 28. Wow.
Oh my God. Ton of scattering down the front straight, all trying to break the draft almost Formula One style. That's just how bizarre this racetrack is, unlike any other. That front straightaway is the longest straightaway in all of the NASCAR schedule. And so these guys have such a big draft going so fast down in a turn 1. Doing that is a practical thing to do, and a lot of drivers will do it, even in real life.
These drivers are almost driving like there's less than 5 to go right now, though. Like, you just need to take it easy and just line up. There's no need to do all that extra stuff right now. You're just costing yourself more time. To Elliot Henderson, who's been dominant ever since he got to the race lead. See right behind him, you see Jacob Bransky in the pedigree Toyota. You see Heller back there, Christopher Heller, your last season's champion, in the 3rd spot. Scott Stewart is stuck around in the 4th spot after starting on pole, and you have Shane Neiswanger, who leads that group of cars that you would saw in the 5th spot. That is your current top 5.
Yeah, the one interesting development I'm looking at is with Christopher Heller and Scott Stewart. Not only have they broken off from the top 2 drivers and have fallen back, but they're not even together with each other. They're running solo lap times. And especially with Scott Stewart, who's getting caught by this pack, he's losing way more time than this pack is losing. He'll be stuck within this battle for what will become the 4th position in the next few laps with the pace that he's running.
I was mentioning very early on in the race when Scott Stewart had the lead and he was putting a little bit of a gap between himself and Henderson, that I was going to wonder how that might affect his tires later on. It seems like it is affecting his tires at this point because, yeah, once again, just ran a pretty slow lap compared to most drivers on the track. Last time he ran a 56.9. The lap before he ran a 57 flat. And Shane Neiswanger, just put it in perspective, Shane Neiswanger just ran a 56.6, and your race leader, Elliot Henderson, ran a 56.2. So Scott Stewart is way off the pace right now, and his tires are falling apart underneath that car.
Yeah, and you started mentioning lap times. I started darting around looking at some of the leaders' times. I'm surprised with Christopher Heller's lap times. He's not very far off the leaders despite being a solo car. I think just the advantage of that clean air is actually allowing him to run faster of a pace than you'd expect for a single car. The fall off seems to be big enough that that is something you can do and try if you really want to.
I'm just wondering what strategy might be for some of these drivers. It's very close racing between Nicholson and Gavin Fitzgerald there, and Henry's going to jump to the inside, it looks like. But I'm wondering what some of these drivers' strategies might be. Are you going to stay out as long as you can and get your fresh tires at the end of the run? Or are you going to come in a little bit early so you can maybe gain some time on these drivers at the beginning portion of the run?
That is definitely an interesting question that we'll have to be watching. But if our fuel window is correct, these drivers will have to make a solid 2 pit stops. And if they could reach that 28 laps, it should be pretty comfortable by about 2 extra laps to the finish of the race. And if that's what we're looking for, these drivers are pretty much going to want to run the fuel window all the way out and then take tires, because there's really no shot at taking none or 2 tires, as the fall off is simply just too big in these cars.
Yeah, the fall off is just huge. And one thing I'm thinking about just when I'm hearing that, if these guys, I don't know how, like, I've heard the pit window is 28 laps, but what if they maybe can go a couple laps further than that and maybe just push the window as far as they can on both occasions, and then maybe on that last stop, if they're able to push it far enough, maybe a two-tire gamble might be a strategy if we're close enough to the finish. I don't know how many laps that would be at that point left in the race.
Well, likely it would still be more than 20 laps, and the times that we're looking at right now, even with this second pack, again, it's still 2 seconds off of the pace that they set in qualifying, and that is just simply too much time to lose by taking 2, because you can't forget either, you take 2 tires and you start to get really loose in the corners, but then once those tires start to heat up, you don't have that left side grip, and then it starts to get tight. So the condition really, not only are you losing a lot of pace, but you're also really unable to run the same way other guys can with 4 tires.
Very valid point, Alex. Yeah, when you take those just 2 right side tires, it saves you a lot of time, but you're definitely gonna be slower than the guys on the 4 tires, especially at a track like this over a long run, and it definitely makes you a whole lot looser. Even if the tires are just a little worn out, it still makes your car or truck a lot looser. Here you are checking out the onboard of Jacob Bransky as he's right behind our race leader, Elliot Henderson, as we are approaching pit stops here within the next few laps.
Jacob Bransky's running a very solid pace right there behind Elliot. He's not really pushing his tires too much. He's letting the draft do most of the work down the straightaways. As he tries to go for the pass, it looked like. I thought he pulled to the inside. I'll have to check back. Yes, he is. He's going for the lead right now, as a matter of fact. Jacob Bransky is going for the lead. They're on lap 26, so they're within the beginning of this kind of fuel window that we're looking at. So he's going for the pass now, looking for the track position before they head into the pits, but Elliot Henderson's going to cross him over.
I'd just like to make a little note while we're watching this. Gavin Fitzgerald, he did duck down pit road that last time by, so maybe a little bit of strategy from him in the number 14 machine, trying to get those fresh tires early and maybe leapfrog over some of these drivers. Oh, and he overshot his pit box. Oh, man, hate to see it. That battle continues up near the race lead. Number 37 and the number 23, Elliot Henderson and Jacob Bransky. This might be a mano-a-mano battle all day long.
I'm a little worried about Gavin pitting on this lap. I feel like he should have at least went 1 more lap, as if he pits the same way the next 2 stops, he's still going to be 2 laps short on fuel. You need to hit at least lap 27 before you pit. Otherwise, you're just not going to make it to the end of the race on fuel.
I mean, Gavin's going to have to push it on his next window. I'm thinking here he just really wants to try to get that track position. We'll be able to compare how big of a fall off those tires are compared to when Gavin pit and, for example, maybe when Elliot pits, because I'm thinking Elliot's going to probably come in maybe lap 28 or 29 if he can get there. And that would be around 3 or 4 laps, the difference in tires. I'm interested to see how big the fall off is there.
Well, we'll have to be looking if they come into the pits this time by. I'm not sure if they will. It doesn't look like they are. It looks like Elliot and Bransky will skip pit road, so they'll make it to at least lap 28, which we believe should be the end of the window. However, there is the possibility that we're missing out on a bit of fuel saving as the tires fall off. They might be out of the throttle more. They might be saving some extra fuel just from fall off alone. Maybe our driver was just straight up lying to us. We'll have to see when they come into pit road and see what the actual window is, but they'll have to be pitting soon, I imagine.
We're on lap number 28, and no one's came down pit road thus far other than Gavin Fitzgerald. So we have 11 drivers on the track who still need to come down pit road. And
yeah, there are 2 drivers that actually are on pit road. Zachary Henry and Nick Martin are on the pit lane. Zachary Henry just got his tires leaving now. Nick Martin is still in his box. He kind of overshot it a little bit. He's taking his tires moving on, but he's about to get lapped by the leaders. Gavin Fitzgerald goes by, and there goes Bransky. But Elliot coming to pit road. All right, it seems like they're reaching the end of fuel window, but it seems to be a little bit longer than we expected.
yeah, Henderson is on pit road, the number 37, and Bransky stayed out. He has stayed out at least 1 extra lap than his competitor, the number 37 of Elliot Henderson. And Henderson is going to pull into his pit box and change his 4 tires and fill it up full of fuel.
There's only 4 drivers still out on track that have not pit at the moment. Jacob Bransky, Heller, Niswanger, and Nicholson all have not pit yet, but they're very split apart. Everybody else already has come down pit road. I just checked back. Tyler McClellan overshot his pit box. Scott Stewart's taking his left side's getting off pit road, but Elliot Henderson's out on track. So we'll have to be watching where Elliot Henderson ends up relative to Jacob Bransky after Bransky pits. See if Bransky comes down pit road this time by. Yes, he is. He's coming down into the pit lane. Heller's going to follow him. Niswanger's going to follow him, and so will Nicholson. So it seems like lap 29 seems to be the end of the fuel window for these guys. Nicholson very hot into the pit lane. Hope he did not speed into there as he was sideways entering the pit speed cone.
Everyone has came down pit road to make their pit stops. You see the drivers finishing up their stops right now. Bransky, Heller, amongst others. Where will they come out against this driver right here, Elliot Henderson, who is currently your race leader out of the drivers that have already made their pit stops? And just to update you guys on Gavin's situation, Gavin Fitzgerald is around 5 seconds behind Elliot. So he was able to make up a good amount of time, but still wasn't able to get anywhere close to Henderson, even pitting a couple laps early. He's going to be in front of Bransky and Heller by a good amount. Look at that. He's going to be in front of him by a good amount. Just that one lap made a huge difference. And Gavin might even be able to get in front of Heller here, it looks like. There might be a battle here for this spot.
The problem with Gavin's situation, though, is that he pit three to 4 laps before these other drivers, so his tires are already going to have to have fallen off a good amount. He's been running mid-54s, which is a pretty decent pace, but compared to the beginning of their last run where they were running low 54s, he has fallen off a little bit. So he'll have to watch if he could keep the track position, but he is in a very good spot with that early pitch strategy. Now we'll just have to see if this gap that Elliot has over Bransky can be made up with the extra lap on tires.
And Bransky does have those tires, and you're gonna watch him try to make that comeback, the number 23 of Bransky, and you see Heller there as well in the side-by-side.
Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and team. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engine. Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and team. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engine.
And welcome back here to Pocono Raceway for the GreatLakesRacing.com 200. Elliot Henderson still leads the field. Bransky's been able to cut into the lead a little bit, not really too much. That last time, I think he caught up maybe actually 2.5 tenths that last time. It's around 2.5 seconds back of our race leader, Elliot Henderson. But right here, here's where the madness is right now. You have Ty Aiken over here, Austin Moore, Shane Neiswanger, Zachary Henry's trying to get in the picture. It's the battle for the 6th spot right now. I mean, the 5th spot right here. Ty Aiken leading the brigade right here.
Yeah, and if these guys weren't battling, they've actually been running a very solid pace, because with them having to back up due to dirty air a lot, but then still make up the time down the straightaway, they've been running very solid times whenever they're not trying to pass one another. So if only they could just organize and realize that they're actually just as fast, they probably would be catching these leaders.
Yeah, this is 5th, 6th, and 7th right here. You have Gavin Fitzgerald up in front of these drivers who they might be able to catch here soon, because Gavin's driving a little bit slower because he did come in earlier. So it's interesting to see how that will play out, as they are beginning to drive down Gavin. They're around 3. There you see him right there. They're around 3 seconds behind Gavin Fitzgerald, the driver of the number 14. Got a little too excited and already pushed his numbers forward, Alex.
Yeah, he's kind of jumping on the bandwagon a little bit too early. Gavin, please, this is not the time for this. It's next gen, not this gen. Oh no.
You hate to see it.
I really do hate to see it. Yeah, Gavin, we'll have a talk with you after the race.
Gavin Fitzgerald riding around in the 4th spot. He has his own big bubble right there. He's in kind of his own zip code right now. He has a good distance between him and Heller, who's up in the 3rd spot, and a good distance between himself and Ty Aiken. And Austin Moore. Austin Moore continues to peek to the inside and to the outside of the number 71. I've seen him do both. I'm thinking he's just trying to get that clean air, not even try to make a pass right now. But Shane Neiswanger is going to continue the thing he's done all day, and he's been the battle king tonight. I've seen him do a lot of battling tonight in that Hooters machine.
And Shane Neiswanger is the driver we're rooting for, because he's creating a lot of action, but the driver everybody else is not rooting for, because he's slowing them all down by trying to pass them every single lap. It's created a lot of fun for us, but I'm sure a lot of frustration for these other drivers just wanting to catch the rest of the field.
I'd like to make a note that our top 3 is getting a little closer while we're watching this battle. Bransky's been cutting into Henderson's lead around 0.5 tenth to 1 tenth at least every lap, and then Heller's been doing the same to Bransky. Heller's been catching up around 0.5 tenth to 1 tenth on Bransky every lap, and around almost 2 tenths on Henderson every lap. So these guys are beginning to catch up to one another. We'll see where they are at the end of this run. Bransky and Heller being on that same strategy of coming in on lap number 29, and then Henderson came in on lap number 28.
Well, here we go. Once again, Shane Neiswanger going again to the inside of Austin Moore. He just refuses to quit these passes. He wants every single position he can get. Every single run, he takes it. It's like he's at a plate race. He's taking every single run he can get. Austin Moore in the wall. Oh, gosh. Somehow he still has the pace, though. He got in the wall, and he didn't even lose any momentum. But Zachary Henry's going to give the push to Neiswanger down the straight. They'll be side by side in a 1.
That was a big hit for Austin Moore. I'm surprised that he's able to still have the speed right there. He doesn't even really have any damage to the right side of that car. That was a heavy hit. I was expecting some pretty decent damage to the right side of that machine. Ty Aiken was able to gap him by a couple of car lengths because of that incident. And now Shane Neiswanger is rethinking his move on the number 91 machine, with Zachary Henry lurking in the background.
Yeah, I think he caught a very lucky break with that one, because it's not every day you get in the wall and come away all right, especially here at such a fast track like Pocono. I'm amazed that he's still in that position right now, especially with as little damage as he has.
They're getting a lot closer to Gavin really quick at this point. Gavin's car it's kind of hit the cliff. It's kind of hit the edge right now, and he's really falling off now. And Aiken and Austin Moore and Neiswanger should get to him here within the next few laps, I'm thinking, before we even think about the next set of pit stops.
Well, that's the problem. Gavin knew this was coming. He pulled out a gap early on when he had the fresh tires over everybody's old tires, but now he's suffering the consequences as this run goes on. That's the problem with pitting early, is you lose so much time on the back end of the run, and you pretty much put yourself on your own when you pit early like that, that you don't really get any draft assistance either. So he pretty much was on his own when he was fast, and is going to be close to people when he's slow. So this is not going to be what he's going to be looking for, as this secondary pack starts to catch up to him very quickly.
You see them back there, and Austin Moore has gotten back to Ty Aiken's bumper, and here comes Niswanger and Henry not too far behind them as well. And out in the distance, you see Nathan Nicholson and Scott Stewart all the way back there. Scott Stewart, I'm not sure what happened to him that put him all the way back in the 10th spot. I don't know if he had some issues maybe on pit road or something. I never noticed that he went all the way back to the 10th spot, so my bad on that.
I was curious as well. I just looked at his lap times. He hadn't been running a very decent pace either. Last lap, he ran a 56.3, and he has a little bit of right front damage, but it wasn't even from that lap. He has this damage for quite a while, actually.
Huh. You know, you hate to see it. Scott Stewart's been one of the fastest drivers most of the day. He started on the pole. Has been one of those big competitors here today for possibly the victory. I hate to see it, but these drivers back here continue to battle very hard. They're going to get past Gavin Fitzgerald pretty easily on the outside. Number 71, the 91, and the 49. Then here comes the number 39, Zachary Henry, right behind them. And Gavin's going to really try to stick in the draft here and try to make it to pit stops.
Gavin is definitely struggling. The only thing he could really do by this point is try and tag on to the pack, kind of where he is right now, or right at the back end of the pack if Zachary Henry goes for the pass, and just save as much tire as possible and utilize the draft as much as possible. Don't really go for any passes. He's just got to stay in line and save the tires, because if he tries to go for a pass, he's just going to lose more time than he's going to gain from doing it.
You're watching it on your screen. Number 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald. It looks like he's trying to settle into that spot right there in the 7th position and try to hang on to that draft and try to keep his speed up as best he can, at least until we get to the next pit stops. But the one issue with him pitting early like that, he's kind of made his grave at this point. Like, on the next set of stops, he's probably going to end up pitting a couple laps before these other drivers, because they're going to go to the end of their pit window, while Gavin's going to go to the end of his pit window, which is roughly going to be 3 to 4 laps before these drivers. So he's kind of made his bed, and he has to lay in it now and try to figure out how to make it work.
Well, I said that he'd be about 2 laps short on fuel if he were to pit with 26 laps into his stint. Now, if he makes it 2:27 at least this time by, but we saw drivers pit on lap 29, he should be able to make it to at least 28 to pretty comfortably make it to the end. I would at least hope for that.
But you're seeing it. He's able to hold his position pretty well for now. But we're still not near the end of the run yet. Oh, got real close to the bumper right there. It looked like Shane Niswanger. Niswanger gets loose off the corner. Good save from Niswanger. And now he's gonna have Zachary Henry right behind him, because the number 14 of Gavin backed off a little bit when he saw that. Now Henry's going to try to make the move coming through the tunnel turn, but Gavin's going to try to hang on to the spot. He's going to fight tough.
Yeah, Niswanger and Fitzgerald almost got into the wall. Gavin got really, really close to the wall, and Niswanger, when he got up towards the wall, cranked it hard and got it loose and drove off the wall. So they narrowly wrecked each other right on the exit of turn 1.
And just to update you on your top 3 once again, they're doing the same thing as they were doing a little bit ago. Once again, they're still catching one another, and each lap I keep on checking, and it's almost every lap that Bransky's driving at least a 10th quicker than Henderson, and Heller is driving at least 2 tenths quicker than Henderson. So these drivers are trying to get closer to one another, but I don't know if they'll be near each other when we get to the end of this run. It'll be very interesting to see when we get to the very end of the run, and possibly to see if maybe these guys get on 3 different strategies, or maybe they all pit on the same lap this time and all get on the same strategy. But I know that Bransky and Heller are going to probably try to push it a little longer than Henderson.
Well, Bransky's really been the one running the best pace of these 3. Christopher Heller's been pretty inconsistent with his lap time, and I'm sure he's been making a couple mistakes, so his tires are falling off a little faster. And Elliot's tires are starting to fall off a lot as well, as Bransky's been catching him, like you said, a 10th a lap. Bransky's been a little bit more consistent lap by lap, and his pace is showing it here at the mid portion of this run.
And this paint scheme is very fitting for Bransky. He has all these crazy paint schemes, but he's a dog. He got a bunch of dogs on the side of his car. He got pedigree on the hood. If he wins this race in this car, like, this should be his scheme from now on. Kyle Busch, I don't know if Kyle Busch ever won a race in a pedigree scheme. So maybe he's the one that deserves the pedigree scheme if he can go get it done. The dog, Jacob Bransky, with a bunch of dogs on the side of his car. I just love that.
Well, let's hope his actions in the pedigree car are not like what I remember the pedigree car for. Was in 2017, I went to Dover for the summer race, and Kyle Busch lost a left rear tire coming out of the pit lane. So let's hope that isn't what Bransky's remembered for following this race.
And these guys are kind of a lot closer. You see Nicholson has entered the battle. He has entered the chat. The number 47 of Nathan Nicholson. He's gonna put his cards on the table. He's gonna try to battle that with these drivers now. Gavin Fitzgerald is still. Oh, Gavin's in the wall. Oh man, got a little in the wall. He's gonna be able to recover and try to keep up with these drivers. But he's gonna lose one spot to Nicholson and another, it looks like, to Zachary Henry, as Henry's gonna try to possibly clear him going into the tunnel turn. A good recovery from Gavin just to keep it straight. He has a little bit of damage on the right side, but not much.
Yeah, the biggest thing with this setup I've noticed is that it gets really tight off turn 1. That tight exit, the really short corner after having to slow down so much from the front straightaway, it just gets really, really tight as you think you could hit the throttle, but really you can't. And it's catching a lot of these guys here off guard.
It really is. I've seen a lot of drivers get up into the wall in turn 1 already here today. We're just going to continue to see it. We're just a little bit past halfway here. We're on lap number 48 of 80 here in the Great Lakes Racing.com 200 here at Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. Henderson's had a phenomenal day, still leading the field. Been pretty dominant today, but that last time by, just checking the times, Bransky caught up almost 3/10 that last time by. So Bransky's munching away at that lead. Like, have you been to Chuck E. Cheese and that thing munches all your tickets? Like, that's what Bransky's right now doing to this lead.
Although, to be fair, just like that machine, it's happening very, very slowly. But he is making very solid progress lately. The progress has picked up to about 2/10 or more a lap. I mean, he's been catching him a lot these past few laps. The pace is really slowing up for Elliot, so much so that even Heller has been catching up to the lead a lot as well.
It seems like these last 2 or 3 laps that Henderson's kind of hit a wall almost. That last time by, Bransky almost caught up 4/10 that last time by. So you can see it literally live on your screen. You can see him getting closer. Like, he's just closing in that gap so much right now. And Henderson's probably yelling to himself that he wants these pit stops to start right now because he wants this window to open. Almost heavy contact off the tunnel turn right when we switched to Austin Moore and these guys. That was really close.
Well, sadly for Henderson, this pit window isn't not going to be open for a good bit. He's still got at least another 8 or 9 laps even to make it to the end of this pit window. Bransky is catching more and more a lap. He's getting so close. But again, we're looking on screen, this battle in the mid-pack. I mean, this is just some crazy stuff. I mean, we're talking about the lead, and then these guys are still battling like crazy. We're going to have to take our eyes off him at some point because Bransky's getting even closer. He's less than a car length away from him now. He's almost right to his bumper.
He got that. He has that draft now, Alex. He has the draft. So I'm expecting a move from Bransky within this next lap because he might be on his bumper going into 1 if he's able to grab that draft and have it be strong enough for him and gets a good run off this corner. Number 23 of Bransky is just charging.
Bransky's coming very quickly, and I'm checking the time on our scoreboards as well. So is Christopher Heller. He's also coming good portion as well. Those drivers are going to have to watch out for him towards the end of this run, possibly, if the battle they start having slows them up a lot. Bransky is kind of stabling out at this point. He isn't catching him as quickly as he was before. I think this dirty air is starting to affect him because while he has the draft, he also has the dirty air to deal with.
Yeah, it seems like that dirty air immediately affected him right when he got there. You saw it. Christopher Heller right now, Elliot Henderson is right now Christopher Heller's best friend. He can hold off Bransky and stay in front of him. All three of these drivers might be under a blanket right before we go to pit stops.
I believe so. I mean, Bransky's already in the position he was before the pit stop. If he could get around Elliott, I have good reason to believe that he'll pull away from him. And reminder, he only pit one lap later, and he's got this much more pace at the end of this run. I think that's telling something to Elliott that maybe he should extend his window a little bit just to have the tires later on in the run. He's got a big run coming off turn one. Is he going to pull to the inside, or is he just... It looks like he's just going to push him. I don't see him pulling inside. I think he's content with where he is right at the moment.
Because you also have to keep in mind, I'm pretty sure that these two drivers are teammates. So I'm thinking Bransky, the tunnel turn is... There's a lot of travesty that has happened in the tunnel turn over the years in iRacing and real life NASCAR. You've seen many bad issues happen in the tunnel turn. He had a huge run right there, but I think he was just taking it easy and not wanting to force a battle in the toughest portion of the racetrack with his teammate.
That is fair as well, because one of the best places to pass is going into turn one. The difficulty of that corner means that the bottom, if you're inside somebody, you could slow down and get the car pointed a lot easier than the guy on the outside who has to try and carry more speed. But at the same time, if you get a really good turn one, you get such a big run that you end up getting this run going into what's the most difficult corner to pass in the tunnel turn.
No, you can really pass anywhere on this racetrack. You can even pass in the tunnel turn. It's just definitely a lot more riskier, especially when you're racing against your teammate. You don't want to get up into them and cause an accident with your teammate, especially in a race like this where it's been caution free and there's 10 clean cars behind you guys. You're gonna lose all those spots.
We'll have to be watching for when Bransky makes this move. It could happen at any moment. You'll never know when the big run comes in. If Elliott makes any significant mistake at any portion of this racetrack, that's going to give Bransky the chance to make a big run at him.
I was literally just about to say we have entered the fuel window, so anybody can come in at this point. And Gavin immediately jumped down pit road. He's really setting that bet now. He's going to go all the way with that strategy and pit early and pit at the very top of this pit window. So he's going to have the freshest tires on the racetrack for a good 6 laps, I'm thinking, Alex.
Well, he did seem to make it to that lap 27 windows I was talking about. He might want to try and extend that one more just to be fully safe on fuel, but at the same time, these drivers made it to lap 29 on fuel, so the fuel window is a little bit bigger than we expect. So I believe he should be able to make it to the end of the race by this point.
Oh, this is huge. Christopher Heller has jumped onto pit road the next lap, and this is big. This is big, meaty moves from the number 11. Oh, man.
The very interesting call. Indeed, I'm kind of surprised to see him pit this early. He's only 25 laps into the stint. So it's a little bit early by a good margin.
Pass for the lead. My bad to interrupt. But Bransky is making that pass for the lead. He had a huge run off of turn one, and he's able to clear him going into the tunnel turn. And he's able to take the lead from Henderson. Whoa! Got sideways there for a second. They got really close between teammates there. Now Henderson's going to send it into turn 3. This is a good battle. Now Henderson, can he clear him coming out of the corner? But it looks like Bransky might have the run off, and he's going to stick to the outside and possibly complete the pass coming past the start-finish line. This is some great racing here, Alex.
It's good stuff, especially when it's just 2 drivers. You don't really have... The outside lane isn't as amazing when it is just 2 drivers. You don't have the draft going down the straightaway in that outside lane, so the inside guy can drag you back on the quarter panel. Really close off turn 1. My gosh, but Elliot Henderson doesn't want to let this go. He doesn't want to buy because I think he knows if he lets them buy, that's pretty much it, as they're going to race into the tunnel turn. You mentioned this is a tough corner, and the outside typically has the advantage here. Elliot's, really tight off, almost contact, but they're still side by side. Great work by these drivers.
You see, this is two opposite sides of the spectrum right here. You have the number 23 of Bransky, who had the fresher tire, so he was taking it a little easier, waiting for the right place, the right time to make his move. And there goes Henderson. He's gonna dive down pit road, but then you saw with Henderson, it was kind of more of desperation trying to stay in front of the number 23, but now that he sees that the 23 is going to pass him, he's going to make that pit stop right now and get it over and done with.
Well, Elliot Henderson is going to pit 27 laps into the stint. That's going to leave him with 24 laps in this last stint, but Bransky's going to extend it a little bit longer, possibly even do just 1 lap pit later like he did last time by. He saw the massive advantage he had over the end of that run, and he kind of has to do it now, otherwise he'll lose just simply too much time to make up by the end of this race, I believe. As he says over the driver's radio that he will be pitting in this time by, so he will pit just 1 lap after Elliot.
This is going to be a close race at this point.
Oh, but the interesting race is Heller has gotten around Bransky. He passed him with his Elliot Henderson. Sorry, my mistake. He got around Elliot with his strategy. So he pit 2 laps earlier and is around him now. He has the track position. I think Christopher Heller just put himself into the race for the win now.
I was going to mention that with Heller. I think it was a genius move from him. No matter if he's able to win this race or not, I think it was a genius move because he was a good 10, almost 15 seconds in front of 4th place before pit stops. So how much is he really going to lose? He's either going to get 3rd or he can put himself in an opportunity to win the race. And an opportunity to win the race is put yourself in the lead. Then at that point, make your car 3 cars wide if these drivers have fresher tires. And you're going to see the gaps. Bransky just now pulling out of pit road. So Bransky is going to be pretty far back, but doesn't have enough time to get up to Henderson and Heller.
Yeah, unlike with Elliot, who isn't far enough away that he isn't catching the draft, he's catching a bit of draft off of Heller. So he actually can go a little bit slower in the corners while still run decent lap time, while Bransky, on the other hand, doesn't really have any draft as he's over 2.5 seconds away from Elliot. He won't have that big advantage, and that was the big problem Elliot Henderson had last time, is he might have been pushing the corners a little bit too hard to run good lap times and ended up falling off towards the end of the run.
Yeah, Henderson really fell off a steep edge at the end of that last run. Had really quick lap times, but then at the very end of the run, really fell off hard, and that's why he jumped down pit road a little bit earlier than I think he was originally planning on doing because of Bransky was able to get by him and clear him. He took advantage and pitted that extra lap early, and Bransky came in that next lap, and now we have 3 drivers on 3 different strategies. All Heller pit 1 lap before Henderson, and Henderson pit 1 lap before Bransky. So 3 different strategies. This is what I was looking forward to.
It's definitely going to make this race a little bit chaotic towards the end. Christopher Heller really didn't have the long run pace of these other 2 drivers. I mean, even compared to Elliot, who was struggling there at the end, to Bransky, he still had decent pace right at the death of the run when Bransky got behind him, but Heller just really didn't have the pace, and he's on the oldest tires, so he's going to have the challenge ahead of him of trying to figure out his long run pace while also having to hold off Elliot.
Heller has a big task ahead of him, but like I said, if he didn't make that move, he was going to finish 3rd, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was going to finish 3rd no matter what, unless we got a caution or something crazy had happened to him or somebody else. But this was his only opportunity to either get the win or get 2nd place in that number 11 machine for 2511 Racing.
Well, there is a reason he was our previous season's champion. He pulls strategies like this. He takes a car that really shouldn't be in contention for the win and wins. He did it multiple times last year. We'll see if he could do it again here at Pocono. Tries to break the draft down the straightaway, but really doesn't make too much of a difference. Henderson, it really isn't going to lose much time down the straightaway. Tires are just that much better for him.
I'll always remember Christopher Heller. I think it was Atlanta last season at the beginning of the season. Had a destroyed race car. Car was demolished. I thought his day was done. He continued to work on his car all day and was able to drive back for where I think he finished 3rd or 4th. He got a top 5 that day, and it really proves just even if he's not necessarily the strongest driver, he's willing to either pull strategy or just work as hard as he possibly can to get the most points he can. That is exactly why he was last season's champion and even locked it up before we got to the last race. So that says quite a bit.
Well, the only difference being Elliot Henderson now is in contention for this. He wants the win. He really wasn't battling with him that many times throughout the year. Last year, Elliot wasn't really in every single race. And because of that, Christopher Heller really was just kind of class of the field on most of these races, though Bransky did put in a fantastic effort towards the end of the season. But right now, Elliot Henderson wants this win. Gets the run off turn 1, and Heller goes low. He's going to be to his outside heading through the tunnel. Freaking Heller's all the way onto the apron. Crazy moves from this driver to try and hold the spot, but I don't think he'll be able to do it. The tires are just not there for him.
Heller is fighting hard. He's fighting. He's not going to give it up that easy. Now he's going to be on the bumper of Henderson. Now the question is, what does he do here? Does he maybe try to back off the corner early in 3 and try to get that run off, maybe try to take one last run at him in turn 1? Because at this point, yeah, I don't think he's going to get that run off. So, yeah, I don't know what happens here with Heller at this point. At this point, he just needs to hold on for as much as he can, whether that's 2nd spot or at least try to maybe keep up with the 37 and try to stay in his draft possibly.
Well, I think that is what he's going to have to do. Remember, we saw a lot of battling in the mid-pack because these drivers are getting massive runs due to that draft. But if you're off the pace, at the same time, those massive runs can just turn into general pace. Heller can probably keep up with Elliott without running the corners as hard, saving some of his tire just by using the draft. I mean, we saw when Gavin was falling backwards later in the race, once he got into the mid-pack before hitting the wall, he was able to keep pace with the pack. And while I'm unsure if Heller will be able to do it with these leaders, he seems to not be falling off as badly as I would expect.
But cue Jaws music. Here come Bransky. Bransky, last time by, ran a half a second faster than our race leader, Elliot Henderson. And that time by, he also ran a half second quicker than our leader, Elliot Henderson. So Bransky, he's coming. He's coming. He's coming quick.
And unlike last time, it took him many laps to close the gap up, but this time it's happening very quickly. They're less than 10 laps into this stint, and already Bransky is under a second away from the lead. And I think that's thanks to Heller pulling the strategy. It kind of slowed down Elliott in his pursuit of fast times early in the run, and now that he has the older tire later in the run than Bransky just has to take advantage of that as he is probably just going to blow by Heller through 3. Yep, he'll clear him before the exit of the corner.
Bransky able to jump into the 2nd spot. That was a very good point. Henderson definitely got slowed down at least a little bit by Christopher Heller, and that definitely helped Bransky. But I think it was a mixture of that, and also Bransky realized how long it actually took him to get to Henderson last time. It took him a little over 20 laps to get to him and pass him. He couldn't afford that much time this time around, so he had to really drive the wheels off of that car. And the gap was also a little bit smaller than it was last time when they came out of the pits. So Bransky had a little bit smaller of a gap as well to work with. Now you see it; he's right there already on Henderson, already around a car length and a half back at the 37.
Now, we brought up before earlier in the race that when Bransky ended up catching Elliott, that he didn't immediately try and pass him. And because of that, I was looking at some of the times they were actually pulling away from Heller because they teamed up with each other and drafted away from him, opening up the gap by over a second right at the death of that run. Now, difference being this time, Heller is caught on to their draft, and it being 2 cars instead of just 1 that he's drafting off of, he's getting massive runs down the straightaway. So they can't really pull out the gap that they were able to last time. So will Bransky just try and get the track position, or will he commit to working with him and see if he could eventually break that draft from Heller?
I think Bransky's best move is that he needs to get up to the lead, because he's quicker than Henderson. And if these drivers actually want to get away from Heller, Bransky's going to need to be the one leading them, because he has more speed right now. He's on the fresher tires. But you saw it right there. Bransky struggled a little bit getting through the tunnel turn, and he has a little bit of a gap between himself and Henderson. That dirty air really just messes with the handling of his race car. He just can't quite get to his bumper, and he just needs to get a good enough run to maybe jump to his inside. He peaks to the inside right there, but wasn't quite close enough.
Gonna go very wide on the entry, turn 1, and cross it down to the bottom. Typically that would give you a run, but I think he just went in there a little too hot and slowed up the entry through the center a little bit too much. So he's kind of in the stagnant spot right in the middle. Heller's gonna get a big run from that though.
Heller's right there in the 3rd spot. He's been able to keep up with these drivers so far, but you mentioned it, as long as he can keep himself clean, he should be able to maybe stick with these guys. You said that Gavin got up in the wall and he lost out on the draft earlier. That's what Heller's goal is now. He just kind of needs to keep it clean and keep himself in a good position in that 3rd spot, because you never know what could happen between these drivers. They might be teammates, but once you get into those last 5 laps, you forget that you're teammates.
And the one thing that Heller has been doing a good job of is staying clean in this race. There's only really about 4 cars, I think, in this entire field who don't have damage on their race car, at least a little bit. But Bransky, oh, he's pulling inside. He's going for the lead. Oh, wow, almost contact down the Lake Pond straightaway. Wow, that could have been a dangerous wreck and could have almost handed the win to Heller.
They're going to be really close going through the tunnel turn right here. Henderson's going to stick to the outside. He's going to get the run off and hold on to the position for now. And Heller was able to chomp down on that lead a little bit. And now these 3 are right back together. Does Bransky try that move again off of turn 1, or does he maybe approach a different part of the racetrack?
I don't even believe he intended for that move to be as big as it was. I think he just got such a massive run coming out of turn 1 that he had to go somewhere with it, because he really didn't even have a lot of time to check up either. And if he did, Heller was just going to get the run instead.
Here they are coming through turn 1. This is where Bransky got a huge run last time by. Almost was able to make a pass on Henderson. Henderson's going to hold on to the lead for now, and Bransky's still right there behind him. He's just facing that dirty air, and he's not able to fully close in on that gap.
This battle for the lead has really gotten interesting. Heller is just making this a much more difficult battle for these 2 drivers. Before, if they got side by side, there was really no advantage to either lane. It was just whoever could run the better corner and be able to side draft better down the straightaway. But now with Heller, Heller can choose who he wants to go with, who he wants to get that track position, and maybe even take a 3 wide if he gets enough of a run. I mean, Heller's really put the monkey in this, whatever the term is. My words.
Words. We like words. You see Bransky's still right there. He got a good run off the corner, but not good enough to make a move, and he's going to just wait, kind of like how he did last time. I honestly like the strategy. There's no need to make the move right now. Henderson's going to stay in his draft and stay right behind him. He got way wide off that corner. Lost a little bit of time, but he should be able to catch that back up. But as I was saying, he just needs to wait for the right moment, the right place, the right time, where he knows he can make the pass and possibly slide up in front of his teammate Elliot Henderson. It's a good battle right here. Nicholson and Nicewanger here for the 4th spot.
Yeah, remember how I mentioned there were only... Maybe not anymore. I was going to mention how Nicholson had the only other clean car on the track, but with that contact, I don't think he does anymore. He was running a fantastic race. Now that's only 3 cars with no damage on the track right now.
And number 47 of Nicholson is trying to make it a TRD, a Toyota top 4 right now, because our top 3 is currently old Toyotas. We have the split second guys of Henderson and Bransky, and then we have the 2511 driver of Christopher Heller in the 3rd spot. Nicholson also part of 2511, trying to maybe get into that 4th spot in front of Shade Neiswanger, making it a 1, 2, 3, 4 for Toyota drivers.
Oh, we almost had a crash down that back straightaway. Nicholson was blocking back and forth up and down the track, and Neiswanger wanted it, got into his back end, but oh, Nicholson in the wall. That's gonna allow Neiswanger to get by him. Oh, crucial mistake by Nicholson. He ran such a great race all day with that clean car, and just then he destroys the wall. Big damage to that 47.
Yeah, he really took the wall down that time, the number 47, and I think it's gonna be really difficult to march him back down now. I don't know how much that damage is gonna affect him. And you see the number 49 almost looking like he's cleaning off his tires going down the front stretch, how fast he was going back and forth.
He was weaving like crazy. He's all the way at the top by the wall. Typically you'd go, what are they doing? But that actually is kind of a lane that these drivers really haven't utilized tonight. You get such a massive run and can carry so much speed around the high side that actually is somewhat a viable of a lane. It's just we haven't seen drivers try it out tonight.
Yeah, that lane definitely does work. If you put it all the way up against the wall, you get a huge run off the corner, massive run. You're pretty slow through the corner, but if you're able to stay in front of a guy, you get such a huge run off the corner that it's kind of worth it.
Oh, we almost had a pass for the lead on the outside down the front straight. Bransky's going to get a big run coming on the back straight, but I think he's just going to kind of get into that bubble. He's going to push Elliot away a little bit. There's a little bit of a bubble that builds up behind these race cars from turbulent air. It could actually, if you pull up to their bumper at a certain distance, you could actually push the driver in front of you away rather than running up on their bumper. It's a very bizarre thing that's with these cars that will be phased out next year at the new car, but that bubble was right there, pushed Elliot away from Bransky coming out of turn 1.
These two were able to put a little bit of a gap between themselves and Christopher Heller. You see Heller right there behind him is around a half-second back of Bransky, so he's getting a sniff of that draft right now from the number 23, almost at 0-3 of Jacob Bransky. Maybe that's just the idea right now. Maybe Bransky is trying to set up himself and Henderson where it's just a mano-a-mano battle for maybe the last 2 laps where Heller has no involvement.
Well, we saw a little bit of that at the end of that second stint. They were battling, and Bransky did have the slight advantage, even with them being mano-a-mano, because without that third party of Heller deciding who he wants to be where, if these guys start battling, it's just between the two of them, and Bransky has the better tires. So if he could get into that scenario, he will be looking to have it.
He's definitely looking for that, but at the same time, it's just so hard to complete that pass on the inside. And I feel like that's why you've been seeing Bransky peek to the outside, because Bransky knows if he can get to the outside of Henderson, he's most likely going to be able to complete the pass, because the high side is, I wouldn't necessarily say is the faster line, but when you're neck and neck, it definitely is the faster line, because you're able to squeeze down your opponent and get the run off the corner.
Yeah, we were talking about the outside lane and brought up that outside lane in turn 1. It's kind of interesting that these drivers haven't used it. I think it's a matter of just how daunting it is. You're so used to running this line where you enter wide and then you go down to the apex and get out wide on the exit that just driving next to the wall seems weird. But here at Pocono, there's a big bump on the bottom of turn 1 that really isn't up there on the high side, and you could carry so much more speed through the center. But you just lose all the time right through it because of how much longer you're running around the corner. So it would be interesting to see if any driver really takes this in this front pack, but it doesn't seem like they're willing to try it.
Henderson just holding tough for now. We have 5 laps to go here in the Great Lakes Racing.com 200 at Pocono Raceway. Henderson leads the charge. Bransky's right behind him, and Heller's stuck in the draft, and he's right there in the 3rd spot. So this looks like it's going to end up being a 3-car battle for this finish, because Heller's kept up. He's kept in the draft the whole time. He hasn't lost it.
Yeah, he's been doing a really great job. He's been doing exactly what he needs to be doing on these older tires. It's just running those corners a little slower, but making it up down the straightaway. This draft has helped him out a ton. If this was any other racetrack, he'd be nowhere near this battle right now. He'd be seconds off the pace, but he's able to keep up with these leaders and at least put his name in the fight for the win of the race.
And this is going to be awesome. These three guys going after it. 4 laps to go. Pocono Raceway. Henderson's led most of the race here today in that number 37 machine. Bransky and Heller, though, have been right on his tail 99% of the way. This has just been a great race between these three. Scott Stewart was up battling with these drivers earlier. Unfortunately, he had went to the back. He had a lot of speed as well, but other than Stewart, these three have been the class of the field all day long.
Yeah, they really have been, especially Elliot and Bransky. Really, Heller was not in the conversation earlier in this race. Right at the beginning of the race, he was when that 4-pack of cars was, but once it started to open up a little bit, he wasn't there. But it seems like he's made adjustments and has learned what he needs to be doing, and now he's in the battle for the win at the end of the race.
And this is a battle of a lifetime, possibly, between these three drivers. Elliot Henderson, Jacob Bransky, and Christopher Heller. Who will get it? Henderson has it. Bransky wants it. And Heller is just there watching in the shadows, and he might be able to make a battle on these guys as well if he's able to get a good enough run. This is going to be stellar. Coming to 2 laps to go this time by here at Pocono Raceway in race number 3 of season number 3 of the Great Lakes Cup Series.
Bransky's got a really good run coming out of turn 3. This would be the most ideal place to pass going through the inside of turn 1. You see Elliott starting to block. Bransky's just going to follow him, though. He's not going to risk the car by dashing around, not just yet at least. He knows Heller's there. He wants the team win. He doesn't want to wreck his teammate, because if he wrecks his teammate, that's just going to give the 2511 driver Heller the win, and that's the last thing these two drivers want.
Bransky has a huge run off of turn 1. It looks like he's going to continue to push Henderson here. These guys are really gapping Heller a lot on this lap already. They're almost 8/10 in front of Heller. So once we get to that last lap, if they continue to do this, this is just going to be a battle between them at that point. Heller is no involvement unless they make contact or something happens between them. You see Bransky right there behind him, about to approach the white flag.
Yeah, there's no tire saving anymore. These drivers are going to be pushing as hard as they've got. They're going to be using every single inch of this tire. And you see Bransky typically was backing up a lot in the corners, but he's taking these corners as hard as he wants. He's just not able to get the runs down the straightaway. Not only is that bubble not helping, but Elliott's trying to break the draft as much as he can.
Elliott's trying to hold on to this lead and break the draft. You saw it on the front stretch, and now they're going to come down. Come out of turn number 1 down the long pond back stretch. Can the number 23 have a run on the 37? This is a pretty good gap the number 37 of Henderson has right now. Bransky needs to chomp at it.
There's some old school style that maybe you could do a bump and run in turn 3, but is he close enough to even try it? Will he even want to try it? I don't think he will. I don't really see any way he gets around him with this gap. Maybe he gets a big enough run. He's got a really good turn 3. I don't know if he'll have enough of a run coming to the line. Oh, he got in the wall a little bit. That's going to give the win to Elliot Henderson. He will win the Great Lakes Cup Series race at Pocono.
Henderson gets the job done, and he's your winner of the Great Lakes Racing.com 200. Great race from Henderson. Had a dominant day, and he's able to get the job done. We have some battles still finishing up here. You see Shane Neiswanger looking to come home 4th. And Austin Moore and Nathan Nicholson not too far behind. They're going to battle it out for the 5th spot, but it looks like it's going to go to Austin Moore in the number 91. He's going to style it up and spin across the line. And there goes Nicholson. More damage to the 47 right there. But Henderson, he's your winner. And Heller, you better watch out, because you have some challengers for that championship this season with Bransky and Henderson. They're here to play. What a race. And any thoughts about that race, Alex? That was just a blast, that last few laps.
I was a little bit worried when we came into the race with only 13 cars ready to run tonight, but they definitely proved me wrong. They had a fantastic race tonight, especially these two drivers, Elliot Henderson and Jacob Bransky. They just ran what would pretty much be a perfect race here at Pocono. Shame for Bransky, he couldn't manage to win the race, but he had a fantastic battle all the way to the finish.
Great job from our race winner, Elliot Henderson. And Shay Nicewalker got a little stuck in the picture. He's like, oh, let me back out of your frame real quick, let you do some donuts. Hit the reverse real quick. And there you see it. Bobby Carter burning the house down.
Doing some fantastic burnups, great donuts. But while Elliot's doing some great donuts, let's try and drag in our second place finisher tonight. We're only going to be doing 2 tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're sorry for our problems that we've had, but we can only do 2. We've got some time. We've got to crunch. So we're bringing in Jacob Bransky. Jacob Bransky, oh, you're in a little bit early, I think you believe. We're doing only 2 tonight, and you managed to do it. You had a fantastic race with Elliot Henderson the whole time. You two ran pretty much a flawless race, doing some great battling towards the end of the stints, and even though you didn't come away with the win, I think you'd be pretty happy with that result. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a good race. We had a really fast number 23 Toyota Camry today here at Pocono Raceway, and just a good race. Good win to Elliot. Thought I was going to be able to have him more at the end, have a shot, but just got super tight into turn 1 at the end. That basically ruined my chances.
Were you displaying a little more caution because it was your teammate you were racing, especially at the end of the race with Heller being so close, or was it just racing another driver?
It was a little bit of like both. Being like, I obviously know he's my teammate. I don't want to wreck him or anything for the win, and also we also didn't want Heller to win, obviously. So I was kind of working with him the whole race. So I mean, yeah, if I had a shot to get to like his outside or something, I definitely would have raced him for it. But I just never really had a shot because these cars just get super tight.
Well, you pulled a slightly different strategy from Elliot Henderson. Pretty much 1 lap after Elliot pit every single time is when you came down pit road. Now, was that on purpose, or was it just he would pit before you expected him to?
Yeah, he was like that last pit stop. We were literally in the middle of racing, and he all of a sudden just pulled over and pit. So like he just caught me by surprise, kind of every time. I feel like maybe if I would have short pit him, because being in the lead's a lot like very important here. So I feel like maybe if I short pit, because usually when people short pit me, I end up losing the race, which is what happened last week and this week. So
All right, well, before we send you out and we drag in a winner for the race, we got to ask you the most important question. Who do you have to thank?
Just my sponsors, Pedigree for this race, and thanks to Toyota Camry, just thanks to Split Second, everything they do, and then thanks to league owners and you guys.
All right, well, thank you very much, Bransky, and congratulations on the great result.
Thank you.
All right, and again, apologize for only being able to do 2 tonight. We have some emergencies, but we're going to be going right ahead away to our winner for the race tonight. Elliot Henderson ran what would pretty much be a flawless race, I would say. Got a little bit hairy there in the second stint when Bransky was coming around you while you guys were racing and you dove down pit road. Was that the winning move, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I think he had the better car. I think, just like Indy with the truck, dirty air kind of prevailed here, and being the lead car was better. So pitting before Bransky was kind of my thought process regardless. I don't know if it's quote unquote the winning move though, because he had a couple shots at it. It's just so damn hard to complete a pass in these cars at this track. So we had some fun. At least we put on a show for it, and gave you guys something to watch. But as far as the winning move, I don't even know that I had the winning car, man. I feel like Bransky really had that covered.
Do you think if Bransky would have qualified ahead of you in the race tonight, did you think you had a shot at passing him for the win of the race?
I don't know. There's a lot that happens with these cars in this race. I think Bransky had the best overall speed, but if he ended up in front of me, there's no telling if I could have made a mistake behind him. He could have made a mistake in front of me. So there's a lot that goes into that. So I wouldn't call it one way or the other, but I do believe that he had the fastest car. So if you're gonna have to pick sides, I mean, I'm not sure that I'd actually get back around him unless he made a mistake somewhere in there.
And we asked Jacob Bransky about his strategy a little bit about pitting just one lap after you. Did you have a strategy relative to Bransky of where you wanted to make sure you pit before him, or did you have a set lap number that you were trying to pit at?
No, I was just trying to make it on fuel at that point. You could have pitted like Gavin was and kind of short pitted the field a little bit more, but I felt like short pitting a lap or two would give you the distance, like I ended up getting. I never anticipated them eating the distance back up, so that was kind of unexpected. I genuinely thought that when I pitted and had like that 3-second gap on Bransky the first time that I was going to be able to maintain that, but that's where I think he just had the better car because I couldn't maintain over the long run. But then when he catches me, I'm able to just kind of play with the dirty air and make sure that there's not really a direct way for him to get back around me. So I didn't really have a mindset going into it. I was just going to run it out and pit around that point because that's what everybody else on our team was pretty much going to do.
Well, you played with the dirty air beautifully and ran a very clean race. Race car looks beautiful, unlike many in this field tonight. So who do you have to thank for the win?
Yeah, first off, all the guys, split second, all the guys that come out and run. There's a bunch of us. I'm going to skip names tonight because there's just too many, and I'm not going to forget people. So thanks to everybody that's part of the team that comes out and runs these races, both trucks and cup side. It's a ton of fun to be in the chat with them and hear all the yelling and stuff going on and deal with the racing. So shout out to them. I also ran some practice with them too, got a little bit prepared for it. And then shout out to you guys. Shout out to the league owners. You guys have put on the broadcast. These broadcasts are fantastic. It's always fun to go back and watch. Shout out to Sam, Eric, Chris, and Brandon, and RJ, and all these guys on the admin team that make sure that this league goes off without a hitch every week. And we have a bunch of good races coming up, and we have a lot of fun every week. So really glad to be a part of it. And quick shout out to Jeff Johnson, lost his grandmother. I believe that happened today. So doing the producing tonight for the broadcast. So I'm sure he's trying to cut it short so he can boogity out of here and get up to Illinois and go be with family. So I'm going to commemorate this one to old Jeff's grandmother. I don't know her name, so I can't give her a name. But condolences over to Jeff and his family for that loss.
It's a sad moment indeed, Elliot, and we appreciate the condolences for family members lost tonight. We didn't mean to have this race have such a sad ending to it, but we appreciate you for coming in and talking about it, and thank you for coming in and congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be chopping this a little bit short, so let's go over the top 10, Kyle, and let's head out of here.
Yeah, I'll give you the top 10 rundown. We had Elliot Henderson, of course, winning the race, led a majority of the race. You have Jacob Bransky second, Christopher Heller third, Neiswanger coming home fourth, Nicholson able to come home fifth, Henry sixth. Our pole sitter, Scott Stewart, unfortunately came home seventh. Would have loved to see him in that battle at the end. Austin Moore in eighth, Nick Martin ninth, and Gavin Fitzgerald in 10th. And then your last three drivers were just Ty Aiken, Tyler McClellan, and Lewis Woodall. And that was your field finishing for tonight. Next week here for the Cup Series, we will be at Iowa, so that will be fun as we go to race number 4. And then also on Tuesday for the Truck Series, it's the last race until we go to the playoffs. So we have Hunter Brittle versus Aaron Duclos for the last spot. Can someone like maybe Brandon Barkuski maybe come in and spoil the party and win and get in? You have to find out on Tuesday. I would like to thank y'all for tuning in tonight, and we will see you either Tuesday or Thursday for Great Lakes action. Once again, congratulations to Elliot Henderson, and good night, everybody. And once again, thank you for tuning in to Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.